Hey, what's up guys, this is TBone here. Welcome back to another episode where we're going to be playing Legendary Game Heroes. Well, we're not really going to be playing, but I am going to do a quick video on the ultimate forms of the season. So it is the end of the season for the Cleansing Water season. And since I did make a video on the last event, where I talked about the cards for this event, where you have the Enlightened Disciples, the Fire Commander deck. Well, actually, this is the light one. I'm showing the wrong one. This one right here. Since I did talk about the deck, that is the Ultimate Noble Killer. This is the Ultimate Form right here, and that is Brothers in Arms. I thought that would just kind of follow up and talk about what Ultimate Form of the entire season should you probably go after. I did this at some point before, and I thought that might as well try this again. I don't actually have access to any of the cards here, but I've read through the cards, and I thought that it might be good to kind of take a look and maybe come up with sort of a ranking of what I think would be best. All right, so let's go one by one, and I'll also use this opportunity to just kind of share how I decide whether an ultimate form is a good one or not, and whether it has utility or not, and just kind of ultimately, like, should you spend your coins to actually forge them. So we'll start with the first one. This is going to be the Freedom Flyers. And the guy no one knows, you quit the game? Yeah, I hear ya. So I'm actually not playing, but I do want to, reconnect with the community and go through just kind of, things that just to help them out. For those who are still playing, let's talk about the game here. All right. So feel free, jump in, hang out, chat, and see how it goes. And Magic Man, why do you hear elevator music? I'm just trying out something. This is just some lo-fi music, just playing in the background. Doing a stream and just checking it out. All right, so let me know what you think. Anyways, we're gonna start with the Freedom Flyers, which is the Water Commander card. As always, water events is always going to be the hardest one for anybody to get if you're not a spender, because you don't have the coins to be able to craft them. And so now's the opportunity to go and craft them. The question is it worth it? All right, so the first thing is this is going to be a water Immortal killer. And so you do have a lot of Immortal killer boosters, some attackers, etc. But looking at the skill here, this is, if you take a look, basically this is a deck that does a nuke attack, where whatever damage you deal, the very next turn, for two turns, you're going to deal it again. All right. Now, it might seem like it's a good, skill, but experience tells me that unless you can get your damage to be super, super high, it really isn't going to be the most effective, right? So, in my opinion, this is just an okay skill, right? Like, I think it's okay if you can get a really, really strong attack, where it doesn't act like there was a skill before where it ignored the affinity of your hero, and so that works well. So in this particular case, for example, if you were to hit against a fire card, and in the next two turns, you'll be able to deal the same amount of damage based on that. Okay, and it has a passive ability that gives you 100% damage buff to the first hero. So let's say you activate this card first, you'll get the 100% damage boost. You attack against a fire card. I'm talking about skill versus skill right now. And then for the next two turns, if you're able to take out the fire card, you deal the same amount of damage to the next set of heroes. At least that was the experience I had when we had a very similar deck. So this is going to work well in those situations, but it's not reliable. And I don't know that this is going to be that strong in events in future, whether this is the type of card that you're going to want to use. So to me, this just kind of falls right in the middle of the line for now. And the guy no one knows, it said that a lot of people unsubscribed. Yeah, so it is how it is. I totally understand. People want to see content that's related to the game that they enjoy, and I totally support that. So I do hope that people do find the content I do provide enjoyable, and if not, just let me know. I'm always looking forward to improving on that. So in my opinion, Freedom Flyers isn't going to be my first choice. And it's kind of funny because you got Freedom Flyers and the Freedom Fighters, both are Immortal killer cards, and so it's kind of like a mouthful right there. All right. So Water Commander for me as an ultimate form, kind of middle of the line right now. We'll just kind of place it right at 3. Okay, so like 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. We'll play at 3 right now. We'll kind of shift around a little bit. Now we move on to the Dark Slayer card, Knights of the Round. And if you take a look at the skill here, this has one of the 2 ingredients that I look for in a deck, and one of them is upgrade. Okay, so gem upgrades is always going to be important. Now this one will upgrade your power gems for 2 turns. So this is new too, where you not only upgraded 1 turn, but you also upgraded the next turn. And that works well because if you do Gem Crush at the end of your attack, the very next turn, all of those crushed gems will then be upgraded by another rank. Now, I have not played with this deck, but I'm assuming that people that got the deck probably got pretty good results out of this, just because they were able to, do, you know, pretty good upgrades, and then they probably combined with, you know, like the Colossi deck that also did upgrades. There's a lot of different dark cards to upgrade now, and upgrading your power gems is one of the best ways to get a lot of damage. The only thing I don't like here is that it does an increase of self-attack by 75%. Slayer events with, you know, a very low percentage attack doesn't really mean anything. Okay, so 75%, not really high. I don't think you're going to really notice a difference here, so that's not really the draw for me. You can't silence a card, that means you're always guaranteed to activate the skill, and it will create power gems on attack. So this is going to be weak to something like Chaos, right? So Chaos is going to be a skill that will be strong against this card, but otherwise I think that this is actually pretty good, right? It doesn't really have a very good damage boost, but it does have upgrade. So with upgrade, you can now combine it with something else that gives you a damage boost. In Chaotic, you're looking at, I don't know, I don't think you're gonna use Sirens anymore. I think there's better Chaotic killers out there for boosting, but I think this is actually okay. So for me, this is more desirable than the water deck. And so let's see, Magic Band. Most are using damage boost and PG separation. Yeah. Since you can't really use the my understanding is you can't really use the shields anymore, right? And so now you gotta do something different. And if you can separate your power gems so that you have like small little clusters, you can still do some really good damage. You can do that with off affinity power gems, right? You can definitely do that. But anyways, Knights of the Round for me is currently ahead of Freedom Flyers. Freedom Flyers does have its place in Guild versus Guild, but I think you're going to get better general use out of the Knights of the Round. Now we come to the Earth Immortal Killer card. This is a commander deck. And if we take a look at the skill here, this has another really good skill that is just in general very helpful, right? It does a cleanse. It cleanses all of your debuffs for Earth Commanders, and it will dispel 1 buff, okay? So things are really difficult to deal with, like armor or counterattack, right? Those things get dispelled, which always get used, okay? You're always going to find a situation where you're going to say, I wish I had something that will dispel everything. Well, here's a card that does that. It does also create 12 power gem 7s, so it is in itself a pretty good power gem spawner. It also passively creates power gems on attack, and it permanently increases its own attack, own damage. So any damage booster combined with Oasis, this is kind of like that, what is it, Brothers in Banditry, right? Where Brothers in Banditry gives its own damage boost, but this one's passive, so you don't need to do anything. It will always give yourself a damage boost, so this card is always going to hit harder than your other Earth Commander cards. Keep that in mind. So I would say that between the Dark Slayer deck, Knights of the Round, and Oasis Allies, I think that one is going to give you more damage boost in your overall deck, whereas Oasis Allies is a great utility deck that is going to be very helpful in those situations where you need cards that can dispel things for you. Okay, and let's see. So the guy that no one knows, you don't see the point of small self-attack buffs anymore. They still haven't changed it. It's literally expecting the Slayer deck nowadays. Like the small attack boosts don't really do anything. And you think that Earth Oasis Allies would be even stronger, they can't be silenced. Yes, so I think they would be super OP if they did that, so you can't silence it ever. But I think the point is, you have to sort of see the situation. In my opinion, Oasis Allies actually comes out ahead for me slightly because of its utility. Like, you can find use for this. Like, let's say you have a really strong deck, Earth strong deck. Now you have something that will help you do debuffs and also cleanse. Very useful. I would say it's a staple in most configurations of decks, and so I would probably say Earth first if you don't have it already. The fourth deck is going to be the Enlightened Disciples. I took a look at this deck and I had to take a look at it multiple times, and I don't know that I like this very much. Right, so this is a Slayer deck. It gives a Slayer attack boost of 40%. Okay, very minuscule. Doesn't really make sense. You're not getting anything out of this. Okay, so you might as well be 0. And it gains a bonus attack buff, and then it will double the gems created by Master of Elements for 1 turn. A lot of words. All this means is after you attack, it's going to do another bonus attack afterwards for exactly the same amount of damage that you did. Okay. But that's it, right? Like, it does give you a lot of power gems. Like, when you activate a power battle skill, it'll create power gem 2s. When you attack, it creates 3 light power gem 6s, and then because you double the number, you're gonna get 6 power gem 6s. But if you think about it, the battle skill doesn't actually do any gem creation. I mean, I guess it does. You create 2 power gem 7s, right? But the most you can do is 5 activations unless you can do a reset. But generally, you're looking at 5 activations, so 10 power gem 7s if you can get them all to activate, and then it creates 6 power gem 6s on attack. So I would say that it already is a similar skill to the water one, but this one is weaker. And so to me, this falls below the water deck for sure. So far, this is the worst for me. And so I wouldn't go after this one unless you have everything else. Okay, if you have everything else except for the light one, then why not go for it, and you might as well fill out your ultimate form. That's my opinion. Now, fire, I did do a review on Brothers in Arms. So in this particular deck, this is a deck that gives you damage to all, like damage boost to all fire commanders. Super useful. Creates 14 power gem 7, so it's a very good power gem spawner. And I don't know about the convert all earth gems to fire gems. Those of you who used it, let me know. Let me know what you think. And I don't know what it's like. I have one eye. You thought I quit? I did. In that I haven't played. I haven't downloaded the game. I haven't installed the game. I haven't played. But I still think that, like the knowledge I have here, I wanted to be able to share that with those of you who are still playing, who are curious. And, let me know. Like, is this something that you're still welcoming? Like, I'm not playing much anymore. I'm not playing any at all. I'm just looking at the cards and using my experience to give my take on what I think. Right, so it is take it for what it is. I hope you enjoy the content. I hope you enjoy it. Hope it helps you. But I'm just gonna provide what I can. So Brothers-in-Laws to me, Brothers in Arms, is a good power gem, like a damage booster power gem spawner. It's got everything. It does give you immunity every 5 turns, but I don't think that's going to be as useful. So take it as it is. Okay, as an ultimate form, is it the best one? Not if you already have all the other decks. If you have all the previous fire decks already, I would say that this is probably actually kind of redundant. So if you have, Immolating Fae, you have, if you have the Heretic Hunters, if you have Exalted Champions, which is already available in the Vault, and Altian's Guard, okay, all of these decks are essentially the same. And I would say that if you are really sort of like debating between something else and this, but you already have Exalted Champions, so you already have Noble Killer bonus, you already have some of the other Fire Commander decks that give you the boost, then I would say, you know what, it's not a high priority for me. And so this actually, I would say, in terms of where I would place it, I think that my personal opinion is that I would go with the Earth Ultimate Form first, and then maybe the Dark one. And then I guess I would say it's a toss-up between the fire and the water, just because I don't know. It depends on what you want, right? It depends on what you don't have. And then light will be the last one on my list. But right now, Earth and Dark are sort of top of my list. Having said all that, if you have just the one card and you don't really have any other options, you can only craft one card. You only have one card that you can do an ultimate form for, then don't wait. Just go ahead and craft an ultimate form, whatever you can. If you have choices, then I would say choose Earth first. I think it's going to give you more utility in the long run. And then I would say choose Dark because it's going to give you more power gem upgrades, which is always going to be a good choice. So these are going to be, these are the two that I would go with. And so let's see. Ranking decks nowadays can never be fair. One deck is always better from the synergy of it from other decks. It's not always the raw power of the deck cards out. Yeah, so like, for me, I think that my personal opinion is I like to look at the deck's longevity, like, you know, its utility, how well you can use it, and how well it plays with other cards that you may want to use. It's not always about raw power. You're absolutely correct, right? Sometimes the raw power on its own still will come across as being very weak. Like, this is why I don't really pay that much attention to how many power gems it creates, because at the end of the day, we've all seen this. You create a ton of power gems, it still just gets crushed into the same amount of power gems in the end, and you get way less damage than you expect to get. Instead, you want to look at the ability to upgrade them. You want to be able to look at the ability to boost the damage. Like, all of those things are still the ingredients, I think, for, you know, being able to do well in events, and how much fun it will be. Okay, just a straight up power gem upgrade or just a straight up power gem creation is not really that fun for me. But being able to, like, you know, think about like upgrading your gems and thinking about the placement of your gems, I think that's going to be a little bit better. Okay, so let's see. The guy no one knows, these names are giving me so much flashbacks. Freedom Fighters to Freedom Flyers, Brother in Banditry, Brother in Army. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities. A lot of similarities in the names, and I wonder if maybe this was done on purpose. This is the first time I took a look at these cards, and so I'm just making an association now. And so I think that for the most part, everything seems very similar. Actually, if you take a look, like the water skill and the light skill is very similar, but the water deck clearly more, it's just clearly more superior. Okay, and like the fact that you can take the same damage, you can apply over 2 turns instead of 1, and it gives its own 100% damage buff is really strong. Okay, because what this does is you can now take another team. It doesn't matter if it's water or not. If something gives another booster to Freedom Flyers, in this case, let's say the Freedom Fighters, right? Because it boosts Immortal, you are gaining a lot more than you might realize. And then you can take that attack and you can apply it to multiple attacks. In fact, I would say that putting in Freedom Fighters in this deck just feels like it's the right thing to do, because you're gaining also dispels, you're gaining immunity, and yes, you are going to be weak to toxin, but I would say that overall that seems like a good combination as well. So water is definitely a good choice as well, but I still think that earth and the dark cards are just a little bit more useful in more situations, and so that's what I would personally pick. And so that is sort of like, you know, my take on the ultimate form. And one last thing I wanted to do before I go as well, besides the ultimate form, this is also the end of the season, so don't forget to take a look at your proving ground. Taking a look at the store here, you can see I have 37,000. I actually am not using any, because if you take a look at my I just want to be clear, this is my alt account, so this is not my main account. Like, look at these are my cards, all right? So I'm not actually playing. These are the cards I have. This is what I use just to take a look, just to load the cards. Okay, anyways, we'll take a look at the proving ground. I would say I made a mistake of crafting the Dorothy deck when I was still playing. Not a good deck. Don't go for it. I think there's a bug where Visions of the Void still boosts all Earth commanders, so this could be useful. Like, but all of the, you know, the destroying all the gems that, you know, at the beginning of the turn may or may not work for your deck. Could be something that you want. I don't know, but I think that it's decent. This particular deck, I forget the ultimate form now. Like, what this does is it gives you a lot of chaotic intensity, but I don't think that nowadays, I'm not sure that matters so much anymore. And so I would say out of that entire season there, if you wanted to, Visions of the Void is still a good option. But then looking ahead, looking at like some of the other decks that are available, I think that, let's see, out of all this, I think, what is this called? Something family, right? The ultimate form here is like the noble family or something like that. It has utility. I've seen a lot of people use this. It works well with a lot of the dark cards. But I think that the best one here is still going to be the Clandestine Clan. out of all of that season, I think this is still going to be the best option. But then if I were to sort of see like, you know, what will be the best card or best ultimate form overall that you should go after, I would say you should go after this one. Okay, you should go after Burke and Courageous Crusaders. If you don't have this deck, if you don't have the Exalted Champions already, and you don't have this current Fire Commander deck, start getting this right here, right now, so that you can collect it again the next season, so you can get yourself an ultimate form that is going to be useful in all Fire Commander events. Don't waste your time. Go after this because that is going to be helpful. Like, there are decks that are worth spending both of your coins on, and this is, I think, one of them that I would recommend. Okay, so out of all these, I would say that you know, Exalted Champions is a good on my list. This deck here, I forget the ultimate form name now. It was useful in the beginning, and I just stopped using it. The only time I've used this is in certain situations, in some guild versus guild. Like if I'm using like a really strong Earth deck, I still do use the Moonlit Matriarch for the damage resist. Because if you get a couple of them and you can get all like Power Gen 7s on Power Gen 5s or more on the board, you're gaining essentially immunity. So it is helpful. I needed to use 2 of them in order to be able to really do anything with it. But I would not say that is the most important card to have compared to Exalted Champions. And just kind of looking, I don't know enough about the water, this water deck, unfortunately, to know whether it's going to be good or not. But I would say that overall, like in terms of the decks here, I would say Exalted Champions, like by far in a way, like the one you should go after. This one for Visions of Voice getting old, right? It's getting old, so I'm not sure if it's going to be used as much as it has been. Given all the decks I'm seeing coming out, it may still be useful, but I think that, you know, unless you have everything else and you don't really care, then I would say go after that. But if you're looking at Proving Grounds, you're probably taking a look at Exalted Champions. Highly recommended. That is my suggestion. So anyways, that's going to be it for me. I wanted this stream to be a little short so that people who are watching afterwards can still join in and they can you know, pay attention to, take a look at you know, the recommendations, and you know, hopefully it helps them. Okay, and I'm kind of glad I'm actually streaming to both YouTube and also Twitch right now, and so I'm seeing comments from both YouTube and Twitch. I should have been doing this a long time ago. I'll continue to do this. I think multi-stream is the way to go for me. So whatever platform you're using, just know that I'll be able to reach both of you. Anyways, that's gonna be it for me for today, guys. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think, right? Like, yes, I'm not playing anymore. So if my opinion feels like it's not something that you value as much anymore, just, you know, feel free to let me know. I totally understand. But I still think that, you know, this is something that I could provide a little bit helpful for the community that has really supported me over the years, and I just wanted to connect and do something here. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for me. Thanks a lot for joining me on the stream here. Hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you in the next episode where I come back and we'll take a look at the start of the next event, which is going to be a Water Commander deck. No, Water Slayer deck. It's going to be a Water Slayer deck, so we'll take a look and see what that's going to be. And Calvin, thanks a lot for joining here. Unfortunately, it is going to be the end of my video here, but I will be doing another video for the Tuesday you know, event preview, so hopefully we'll catch you then. Thanks everybody, take care.